In this video I will show you how to cook a cow's tongue. I think this is a very delicious piece of meat, and furthermore it's very cheap. But you have to keep several things in mind when you're cooking it. First of all, the tongue is a very active muscle, which means that it has a lot of collagen, so it needs to be stewed for a very long time for the meat to become tender. And secondly, you should brine the meat, which makes it much more succulent and also perfectly seasons the meat throughout. So as you can see on the label here, cow's tongue is actually a pretty lean piece of meat with just 8 grams of fat per kilo, and most of the fat is distributed on the back of the tongue, so the front of the tongue is fairly lean. Furthermore, it's high in protein with about 22%. To prepare our brine, we need to take about twice as much water as we have meat. And to this water we add 50 grams of salt and 6 grams of sugar per liter. We also add some flavorings, which include peppercorns, bay leaves, lemon zest and cloves. I'll put the recipe down below. And you want to bring this to a boil and then simmer it for about 5 minutes before cooling it and adding the tongue. So here you can see that after a few minutes of simmering, the brine has taken the colors of the flavorings, but also the flavors itself, which you cannot smell, but they are definitely present. And that means they are now also able to go into the meat. So what we do now is that we cool down the brine and we add the meat to it. And then we're just going to leave it in the fridge for 24 hours. So the meat has been brining in the fridge for 24 hours. So now we're just going to remove it and put it in some clean water. What this is going to do is that it will draw some salt from the outer edges of the meat, and this will just prevent the meat from becoming overly salty. After 1 hour, we repeat the process, so we drain away the water and add some fresh water to the tongue. This process will also remove some of the blood from the tongue, and this improves the flavor. So now we are ready to start cooking our meat. We will cook it for 24 hours at 72 degrees Celsius, and this allows us for plenty of time to break down the collagen inside the meat, so in the end the meat will be very succulent and very tender as well. So you just want to make sure that your meat is fully submerged under the water level. To do this I have added some weights to the vacuum bag, but you can use something else as well. And before you leave the meat overnight, make sure you cover your sous vide water bath, because a lot of water might evaporate. So it has been about 24 hours since we started cooking, and what we want to do now is remove the meat from the vacuum bag and peel it, because it's easier to peel the meat while it's still hot, but be careful not to burn your fingers. The easiest way to peel the tongue is to start at the back of the tongue and cut the skin off with your knife, and then peel it by pulling the skin towards the front of the tongue. Now you have to forgive me because I'm not so fast at it. So just fast forward at the process. And after peeling, your tongue will look like this. So after peeling, you want to place the meat back into the vacuum bag with the cooking juices, because the meat will take up some of these juices when it's cooling down. So after the meat has cooled down, you can divide it into 3 distinct pieces. The front part of the tongue is fairly small and it's a lean piece of meat. The middle of the tongue is similar in texture, but it's somewhat larger, so it's perfect for making slices. It's very good on bread with some mustard or pickles. The back of the tongue contains more fat, and this makes it more tender. I like to cut it into large dice and serve it with some rice or beans. You can save the cooking juices to make a sauce later on, but be sure not to add any salt because the cooking juices are already pretty salty. So here's just a quick idea for a dish utilizing the cooked tongue. So here I've mixed the front of the tongue with some cooking liquor and butter. I have some pickled vegetables like red onion and beetroot, and I also have some oven roasted pumpkin and beetroot, and a little bit of port wine reduction, and also pumpkin puree. So here I'm just plating up the dish. And you can see the final result. And here's just another idea for the cooked tongue. You can cut it into slices and serve it with some braised leeks and mashed potatoes. Or you can serve it with some grilled asparagus, some lentils, pumpkin and roast beetroot.